Alright, back. So, last time I finished on the Dark. So, starting on something that starts with the Lord of the Rings. Alright, myself some water. Hopefully, I won't choke quite so much during this one. Um, yeah, an amassed orc army isn't doing me a whole lot of good, so I don't think I need Barad-dûr. I think it's just a very playable value land in a lot of Black Commander decks, but Andorel, Flame of the West. Yeah, spirit tokens don't mean much to me. Yeah, that's about it. Like, I don't need the spirit tokens. I don't need um to buff up the Grim Captain, really. Like, if anything, the Barrowblade is a bit more interesting because it stops things like indestructible creatures, death touch creatures, um, anything like that that would actually interfere with the Grim Captain if he's not wearing certain equipment from getting into combat with him and dealing with him. That being said, I don't think I need it. So the ring's effects are creature can't be blocked by power less than or power greater than it. Um, I can loot, destroy all creatures that blocked it at end of combat, and the actual full ring is they lose 3 life if they get dealt damage by the creature. um, yeah, I still don't think we need Call of the Ring though. Like, it's okay, but it's not amazing in the deck. The Grim Captain is already at 7. 7 tap, put a 1/1 counter on him seems not great. Aren't there pirates? Like, aren't the Easterling Vanguards, like, aren't some of them pirates? Like, there's Corsairs. I don't know if they count as pirates. I don't know if there are any in this set. Glamdring, or Glamdring rather, no. Don't need Gollum. Gollum. Light. Gorbag. Goblin or Orc, no. Gothmog, no. Grim of Wormtongue, no. Don't need the Dead Men. Gondor. Fateful Strike, no. Exile target creature card from opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn and make X treasures based on its power. Not the worst, but also not relevant to what we're doing, really. There's a Mithril Coat, which I probably want to consider, since I can flash it in to attach to the Grim Captain, so. Just have it as Lord of the Rings. So, Mithril Coat. 3. Is it a legendary artifact? It is. Alright. I don't usually denote legendary, but for some reason in my head, it's like, is that thing legendary? I genuinely cannot remember. There we go. Took me 3 tries to capitalize the A. But yeah, it's not much more expensive to equip than Dark. I believe Darksteel Plate is 3 and 2 to equip. But being able to flash it in to save the Grim Captain the first time, probably worth. 3, don't need Nazgul. The Grey Host, no. One Ring to rule them all, no. Bowmaster, don't think so for this deck. So I don't mind milling with the Palantir. And if they don't make me mill, I get to draw the card. So maybe. I like the Palantir a lot, but I don't think it's particularly good in most commander decks, so I'm a little bit tempted because it does work. The problem is if I scry something to the top that's not a creature that I want to draw and they mill me, that's a minor problem, but if I have enough counters on the Palantir, I should still be able to mill things I wanted to mill in addition to that, so hopefully that works out. Yeah, I don't need Shadow of the Enemy. I'm already trying to exile their graveyard with all of the other stuff, so I don't expect them to have anything. And Stone of Eric is kind of in the same category. It's like I have so many other things that are trying to do this. It does help that it is so cheap that I can get it down early, and I can sacrifice it if they have things in the graveyard already that I need to get rid of, more so than I need to stop new things from getting in there. Alright. Does the Grim Captain want the One Ring? Probably not. He has no ways to manipulate the counters, get rid of the ring if he doesn't need it anymore. And I have other ways to draw a few extra cards in a turn cycle, so doesn't seem quite like what I want. Borg Rider. Don't really need the Witch King. Witch King. Yeah, okay. What if they put the scenes under? What is the proper thing to look those up? Don't you sass me. Because unless they listed it under the commander cards, which they might have. Oh, good. They also added the ones from the box set, like the new. Right? Because I don't remember that being in the commander thing originally. That's wonderful. I'm sure this won't mess up the list at all or make it really hard for me to find all the unique cards. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard, gain 3 life. That's a reprint, even though I put it in card set number. These are all reprints. Alright. We're coming over here now. Let's just refresh the page. No, I need to get rid of that. That's why I refresh the page. Half the time you obliterate my criteria just because now you're not going to. Lord of the Rings Commander set. Craft Innovation, Dual Decks, Box Sets, Commander. You are killing me right now with your unwillingness to let me... Like, having this be the only thing that comes up with Lord is absolutely killing me here. Alright, we will scroll through the entire stupid thing now to find stupid Lord of the Rings. Like, it's Commander Lord of the Rings, right? That's what it's going to be. What? I want to strangle this thing, but it doesn't have a physical form. Really? That Commander Lord of the Rings isn't gonna pop either? I have so much hatred for you right now, it's ridiculous. You are the most unhelpful thing ever for trying to find this stupid thing. Because I don't know what you're calling it. Tales of Middle-earth Commander. That's what they're calling it. Seriously, I hate you. Beginning of your end step, each opponent dealt combat damage this game by a creature named Golem loses life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Enters the battlefield, look at the top card of each opponent's library and exile those cards face down. Sacrifice an artifact, choose one until end of turn. You may play a card exiled with her. Or each opponent loses one life or loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Food token. Sacrifice a food, put a 1/1 counter on it, leaves the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to its power. Whenever a non-token creature opponent controls dies, exile it. Put a creature card exiled with her on into its owner's graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters on her and draw a card. Or put a creature with mana value X exiled with her onto the battlefield tapped under my control. Nah, I think I'm good with the ones that I'm already running. Target creature defending player controls. So the biggest problem with this is that when I attack, I will choose a creature to deal damage to, and the Grim Captain's trigger for them to sacrifice will also go on the stack. So, regardless of the... Oh wait, hang on. If we put them in the right order, because they're both attack triggers, so as long as this one resolves first, we're good. I was thinking they would just be able to sacrifice the thing that's being targeted, but that's not necessarily true. Because we would control both triggers, so we would be able to stack them differently. I still don't know if, like, it's 5 mana to equip. I'm almost definitely not running it, but... Blackgate enters the battlefield. You may pay 3 life. Enters tapped. Choose a player with the most life or tied for the most life. Our creature can't be blocked by creatures that player controls this turn. Unfortunately, we have a giant angry lifelinker, so there's a very real chance that we will have the most life. Alright, are the scene cards on this list also anywhere? These are the box toppers. There we go. I think that's like the Nazgul Battle Mace. It's one of the scene cards, so yeah. Alright, so they are on the list. Whenever equipped creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. On each creature you control... Yeah, hang on. Ascend. Whenever equipped creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. If you have the City's Blessing, put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control instead. Equips for 3. So don't need that. Equipped creature has Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1, and when an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control unless that player pays 3 life. And it equips for 3. Sacrifices a non-land permanent. It makes the Grim Captain a lot sillier, but it's very expensive to cast. It's not exactly like 3 to equip is not the end of the world, but at the same time, if I'm spending all this mana to flip the Grim Captain, I might have to spend a mana or two to give it haste. Probably want to make it indestructible before I deal with this thing. Like he's already got Menace, so Death Touch. It gives him Death Touch and Annihilator 1, and the Sacrifice trigger. Maybe. The other options while I'm considering this thing. Flying Devour 1 enters the battlefield or attacks. Target opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. Enters the battlefield, tap, add black. 3 in a black, tap, put a shadow counter on target creature. For as long as that creature has a shadow counter on it, it's a wraith in addition to its other types, and it is the ability counter. So it's difficult to block, and probably isn't going to be doing a whole lot of blocking. But yeah, the only one that really stands out is the Nazgul Battle Mace. But it is really expensive. Yeah, I think it's too expensive. Is the ultimate problem. If this were like 3 mana, maybe. Like 5 to cast, 3 to equip. So it's probably eating up an entire turn and doing nothing with how little ramp we have. Yeah, that can't be correct. Alright. Well, fortunately, the scene cards were part of that, so. Right, so, Lord of the Rings. Onward to our set where our commander comes from. Aclazot's Deepest Betrayal. He's a bat god, but not a vampire. He's not a vampire. Really? Alright, whatever. And I don't think we need his Acolyte. Like, that's super low impact. Bitter Triumph. Is marginally tempting at 3 life and 2 mana to kill a creature or planeswalker. Like 2 mana kill a creature or planeswalker at instant speed is probably worth the 3 life. And there will be times where we want to discard a card, so maybe. Hey. Black for an instant. Probably want the Bloodletter of Aclazotz, because that is a vampire. Black. Vampire Demon. Bringer of the Last Gift we want to consider as one of the more expensive cards I would run in this deck. This thing is 6 black. Again, it's a Vampire Demon. Say 6/6. It helps that, like, I won't get the cast trigger or the comes into play trigger if we put it in off the Grim Captain, but we're still putting a 6/6 flyer into play off of the Grim Captain, even if we're not getting the effect on him, so that's not nothing. Don't need Schimmel. Cabra. I want to consider Corpses of the Lost just to give the Grim Captain haste, and it's very easy for us to trigger this thing. Get more skeletons out of it. Like, it might not make the final cut, but I think it does enough. Just barely. It makes a 3/2 haste, and then when we flip over the Grim Captain, it gives him haste, and whenever one of our non-token permanents dies on our turn, we get to bounce this back to our hand for a life, and then we get to make another 3/2 haste, so I think that combination is good enough. It might not be overall, like when we get to the end of this and look at it, but right now I think it's fine to consider. Offering leeches. Grasping Shadows. Do I want the Freebooter? It dies into a Treasure for Mana and a Scry. We have a couple of other pirates that die into Treasure on the list already. I don't know that we need him. He might be fine in the deck. Alright, so what does this thing do? Fathomless Descent. Add X mana of any one color where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. So Matzel is a looter. Nah, I don't think so. Like, I think this space would better be used for something like the Celestis if I wanted it that badly. Preacher of the Schism. Death Touch. Attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life. Make a 1/1 with lifelink. And if I attack while I have the most life, I get to lose a life and draw a card. And it's a Vampire Cleric with Death Touch. Yeah, I think I'm down for that. Schism. It helps that I'm already trying to run a bunch of things that give my guys haste, so there's a very real chance I can play this and attack with it in the same turn and get a card out of it, or at least like a 1/1 flying lifelink, get in some damage. The fact that it has Death Touch and that we don't care if our creatures die also helps. So the Paladin, on the other hand, is a little more questionable. Like, we have plenty of vampires, and some of them have pretty high casting costs, so getting to circumvent that casting cost by paying life is not terrible. But then after we do that, if the vampire dies, it gets exiled instead. And I don't have a lot of ways to make the vampire go somewhere other than the graveyard once it's in play, other than having it be the thing that gets exiled to the Grim Captain. And the Queensbay Paladin itself doesn't have any evasion. Like, maybe if this were a 5/4 Trampler, I'd more seriously consider it, but don't think I need it. Um, So I can play the Roaming Throne, probably naming Vampire. Most of them don't have comes into play abilities, but they do have attack triggers, death triggers, and just triggers in general. So I don't know that I'm going to have room for it. It runs into the same problem as all of the other non... Like, if it were the type that I chose... Oh, wait. Yes, it is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Okay. So I can make it a merfolk or a dinosaur if I desperately need one of those. Let's see, like, can the Grim Captain put into play? Then you may put an exiled creature used to craft it. Okay. So the throne, if I exile it from play, I can put it back into play and choose a different creature type after fusing it to make the Grim Captain. Alright. Nope. That actually helps a lot. So I can choose Vampire when that's really good, or I can choose Merfolk or Dinosaur to get the relevant creature type I need, so... I think that's just enough upside. Along with, like, re-triggering all of the Vampire's abilities and whatnot. Don't need that. Don't need the Snail. No, Goblin Rogue. Death Touch. Is the Freebooter the only pirate? Because it's the only one we've seen so far. Fungus Wizard. Terror Tide. Grim Captain. Okay, technically the Grim Captain is itself a pirate. But only once we flipped it. Yeah, we should probably add our commander to the list, so... This is Throne of the... And... Grim Captain. Tithing Blade, goes Inquisitor. It is literally the only mono black pirate in this set on Ixalan, from whence pirates hail from. That is obnoxious. I inhaled some of my water, it was so bad. Oh, excuse me. Choking to death on how bad my options are for mono black creatures. And the water. But mostly how bad my options are. Ugh. Ugh. Hey. This deck is going to be a lot more medium than I thought it was with the low quality on all of the non-vampire creatures. Maybe there are some decent pirates in the Captain Brass deck. Admiral Brass. Yeah, she didn't get that giant hat, so I could call her Captain. Alright, Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Commander, because the Alchemy set hasn't released yet. Alright, Altar of the Wretched, Wretched Bone Mass. Enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, draw X cards, then mill X cards, where X is that creature's power. Also, I can return it from my graveyard to my hand. Wretched Bone Mass's power and toughness are equal to the total power of the exile cards used to craft it. And then it has the abilities of the cards that were, like, the keyword soup. It's a a skeleton horror. Use a card type shared among the 2 exile cards used to craft it. The next spell you cast this turn of the chosen type can be cast without paying its mana cost. So I have to exile 2 creatures for it to let me cast creatures for free, do artifacts, and so on. Also, it's 6 mana to fuse them, so... whenever a equipped creature attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. Craft with 1 or more creatures, and it becomes the headdress. Attached to a creature, choose an exile creature card. Equipped creature is a copy of the last chosen card. Menace. Sacrifice it. Each non-token vampire you control gains persist until end of turn. Whenever 1 or more pirates you control deal damage to a player, Francisco explores. So the locker lets me surveil for 1. And I can bring back a dead creature by exiling 4 other cards from my graveyard and paying black and 3. What else do we have on this list? Master of Dark Rites. Sacrifice another creature, add 3 black, only to cast vampires, clerics, and or demon spells. Non-demon creature, if you do, make a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token. And you may sacrifice a non-demon if you do populate. Each other creature you control that's a skeleton or pirate gets +1/+1. Whenever 1 or more creatures cards leave the graveyard, create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature token. 5 and a black, return skeleton crew from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Alright. That is a pirate I am down for. The commander sets. This thing is Skeleton Crew. It's 3 and a black for a skeleton pirate. Three. Mounted Anchor, probably not. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard a pirate card. I don't need the icon. It does let me do some cool things with giving like vampires flash. Because some of them have decent comes into play abilities or other triggers, but... Alright, so... Yeah, we've gotten all of one really strong pirate. Like, Skeleton Crew is actually a really strong pirate for this deck because it also benefits from the other thing. The other thing I have to double check that if those skeletons are pirates. The same way this one is. I think that they are. I think they're the same creature token, and I just forgot that the other ones were pirates. I don't know that I will have enough pirates for Francisco. Like, I'm already scrambling for pirate cards, which is why the skeleton one is so good. Because it makes other skeleton pirates for me to use, so that's helping a lot, actually. But yeah, I don't think I need the Grim Captain's locker. Like, if it was Surveil 2 or something, if it was like one tap Surveil 2, or even two tap Surveil 2, I would probably run that. Like, getting to put that many cards in the graveyard, getting that level of card selection would be worth it. Like, at this point, the best thing I can do, and this thing costs 4 mana too. If it were cheaper, like if I could go Sensei's top, this thing, spin the top, and then surveil away the card I least want, or the card I most want in the graveyard, which is probably the same thing at that point. Getting to explore is not terrible, though, is the thing. Like, it's basically surveil at that point if I'm not hitting lands. If I am hitting lands, they're just going to my hand. Alright, we'll put him on the list, and if we have enough pirates to consistently trigger him. Black Bird Pirate. Oh. Ooh, excuse me. They have to deal damage to a player, so without like power enhancing equipment or something on Francisco, he can never trigger himself. Yeah, if he were a 1/1 flyer. Although I have heard that Francisco is actually a really strong commander creature, so that might be too much if he could trigger himself. Oops. So that was the Lost Caverns. That's to Theros. Oh, there's the last of my water. So I don't think any of the creature types we need exist on Theros, except for Merfolk. And we already know we're getting the one zombie Merfolk for our deck, but that's going to be our only natural non changeling Merfolk. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. I didn't think I was making it that hard for myself to build this deck, but it does seem to be where we're at. I don't think I need Erebos. I have enough other card draw. Yeah, I probably don't need Grey Merchant. We'll consider Hero's Downfall, but probably gonna run some of the other ones over it. Feel bad for Hero's Downfall. This is another one of those cards where when it first came out, this is like, yeah, this is gonna be a black staple. Like, it kills any creature for 3 mana, but it also kills planeswalkers. And then so many other things have come out that are basically Hero's Downfall, but slightly better, that it got downgraded to an uncommon now in limited. Like, it's not even worth being a rare and limited anymore, let alone, a staple of constructed, so. That's true. Even if we did want to run things that were super expensive, we have, like, the potential for Nykthos and coffers. They generate huge amounts of mana. I had forgotten that for the purposes of getting the Portal to Phyrexian play, so maybe that's back on the table. Rescue from the Underworld, no. Scourgemark, no. Hemlock. Thoughtseize. Tormented Hero. Viper's Kiss. Whip of Erebos. Yeah, don't think so for the whip. Beyond Death. We'll get our Mire Triton, at least. Have one actual natural merfolk in the entire deck. Emia, Spective Lamprey, Cling to Dust, Piper, Drag, Eat to Extinction. And we already have the Price of Fame. I don't think we need Eat to Extinction also. Another creature dies, pay 2 life, draw a card. Sacrifice another creature, give a creature -2/-1. Don't think we need Intervention as a removal spell. Gravebreaker Lamaya. Most of my things I'm not casting from the graveyard. I'm like grabbing them with the Grim Captain. She is an Entomb. Attached to a 4/4 lifelink. Nah, I don't think I need her. It's a Nymph. Harpy. You have combat on your turn. Each player mills 3 cards. Is this from like the Ashiok deck or something? I do not remember this creature even existing. I feel like it is. Like if I click on it, yeah, it's card number 276. Beginning of combat on your turn, each player mills 3 cards. Probably. So this is like actually from the Planeswalker deck. Harpy. 3 and a black. For a Harpy. 3/3. 3/2. An Enchantment Harpy 3/2. Enchant. Two. This is Theros. On death. Yeah, no, that is the type of creature where it's not one of the main creature types, but it does fit the bill. Mire Triton. Black. Zombie Merfolk. One. Yeah, it's milling me, it gains me life, it's a 2/1 death touch, and it's one of the relevant creature types. Like, it's actually doing everything I want it to do, so. Kind of hard to say no. I don't need Pharika's Cure, or not Cure, Libation. Harpy. Shadow Spear. Beef No. Blessing. Yeah, Timuret Calls the Dead, not really what I'm looking for. World Sentinel is only okay. Ghost Rider is only okay. Alright, that was Theros Beyond Death. On to Throne of Eldraine. Order of Midnight. Yara, I don't think. Or another black creature enters the battlefield. Your opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Sacrifice another black creature. Draw a card. Yeah. Still don't think so. Audi, no. Cauldron's Gift. Chittering Witch. Cauldron's Gift doesn't seem quite good enough. Human Warlock. Number of 1/1 black rats. Equal number of opponents you have. Sacrifice a creature. Give a creature -2/-2. Blackbridge Troll, no. Don't need the carriage. Eye Collector, Festive Funeral, Foreboding Fruit, Forever Young, Foulmire Knight, no. Skewer, Keeper, Walker. Dummy, Lash of Thorns, Lochthwain Paladin, no. Legion, no. Noble, Memory Theft. Murderous Rider, maybe, as the utility removal spell, so. Actual spell, Swift End, I think. Night 2, 3. And 1 black instant. Okay. Sworn Knight, Order of Midnight, Pipe Swarm, no. Still no to Foulmire, Rankle, no. Soul, Revenge of Ravens. Swordmaster, Spectre Shriek. Serpent. Yeah, Swift End. Alright, do we want Sir Conrad? So whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves my graveyard, Sir Conrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is per creature, so the creatures that I exile for flipping the Grim Captain will trigger him. My stuff dying triggers him. Milling triggers him. He does mill also, which is good for us because we want to put cards in our graveyard. Also, if the creature gets put into the opponent's graveyard and then exiled, which some of my things do, Sir Conrad will trigger for them hitting the graveyard first. If we are exiling the things, though, Sir Conrad's only going to trigger for my things going to the graveyard, so. Because a lot of them will exile from anywhere, so instead. So this is a little bit unlikely. Conrad. The Grim. But the fact that we can use him to mill ourselves and he's doing all this extra damage might be good enough. So we'll have to see. Oops, 5. Yeah, if he were any of the relevant creature types, I just automatically have him in here. Yeah, I don't think Cauldron of Eternity is what I'm looking for. Wishclaw Talisman, no. Witch's Cottage, don't think so. Oven and Vengeance. Okay, that's Throne of Eldraine. By extension, the whatchamacallit decks, the Brawl decks. Alright, so we're almost at the next hour mark. So Time Spiral will probably be the last one for this one. But since I've been not keeping up on streaming the deck building, because some other stuff has been going on this week, we might do one more, but I will definitely need more water first. Don't need Basil Sliver, Brassnet, All to the Netherworld. No. Corpulent Corpse, Curse of the Cabal, Opian Giant, Dark Withering, Spore Thallid, no. Demonic Fusion, no. Red Return, Fever, Endrixar, Evil Eye of Urborg, no. Stone Caverns, Gorgon Recluse, Haunting Him, Time Bug, Liege of the Pit. I think I want Living End. Mind Stab, Magus of the Mirror, Traitor, no. Nightshade Assassin, no. Stisis, no. Hitkeeper, no. Leg Sliver, Premature Burial. Psychotic Episode. Nosferatu is a vampire, so it's a 5-mana 4/4 flyer. Exile it, make a 1/2 black bat creature token with flying, and it has black and 1, sacrifice this creature. Return an exile card named Sengir Nosferatu to the battlefield under its owner's control. I don't have any way to double up on tokens that I make. Because otherwise, what I could do if I did that would be, like exile him, make 2 of the bats, bring him back, get him killed or just fed to the Grim Captain, then sack the other bat to put him back into play. The biggest problem is I have to make sure I have the mana to sacrifice the bat if I'm going to do this. Otherwise, I should just let him die so that way I can get him back later. 5 mana 4/4 is not abysmal stats. It's just not amazing. Exile Nosferatu, make a 1/2 bat. Exile or sacrifice the bat, return the Nosferatu. Maybe. Maybe that's good enough. We'll have to see. This space for vampires is the most clogged in this deck, so Isabel Wright, thank you for the follow, and welcome to the channel. How are you doing today? Empire 4/4. Alright. I'm doing alright, all things considered. Thank you for asking, or for wishing me well. So this is a collectible card game called Magic the Gathering. So the basic idea is that you build a deck from the available cards, depending on the format, will determine which sets are legal. This is Commander, so nearly everything is allowed. But you can only have one of each card in your deck, and you are limited based on the card you chose as your commander for what cards you have available, based on the color that the commander has, or colors. So we are currently building the Grim Captain, who is mono black, so we're looking for any spells that work particularly well with him. That is Time Spiral. Alright, so we're about at the 2 hour mark, so I will do another one, but I need to take a quick break, so if you're watching this live, just give me a minute or two and I'll be back, and if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.